My name is Rodolfo Groenewoud, and within the Better Factory project, I'm one of the partners, especially involved with the artists in the project. The arts is a very broad definition, but within the arts, there's a lot of players, whether they are in music or in filming or in the applied arts or even in design, who are doing something that I call artistic experimentation. And with that, they use technologies or materials and they ask questions that lead to the uses of those technology materials that we have never seen before, that are beyond our comprehension sometimes. Sometimes it stays that way, but there are many examples of how they are actually developing technologies in a way that can be used by manufacturing. A very clear example is a Spanish artist, Daniel Canagar, who has actually invented flexible screens that are now being used more and more. Or artists who are working with virtual reality and augmented reality, designing within those programs, showing to companies what can be done on the factory floor. And there are at least 50 fields of technology where activity like this is happening. The EC, the European Commission, is doing a very good job in identifying that in order to transition to a circular economy, to the use of energy more responsibly, but also doing business more responsibly and changing the economic system, it is not enough to just focus on the normal suspects, the existing companies or existing players. It has to be fed with ideas from outside of that, ideas that take a critical and sometimes even an ethical point of view for what they are developing. And the arts, the creative industries, are definitely one of those sectors. So it's not been a very long time yet, but since a couple of years, more and more attention has been given by the European Commission to include the arts in these transitions, which is, I think, a very good thing. In order to develop innovation, a couple of skills are very important. The World Economic Forum said that creative thinking skills and experimentation are two of the most important skills needed to deliver innovation. That's exactly what artists possess. Not only artists, there are definitely startups, researchers and other organizations out there that do exactly the same, but it's two types of skills that are core to the artistic practice and the artistic way of experimentation. There are two types of answers to this question. One is best practices and the other is examples where actually industry should have paid more attention. And I will give an example of both. The first best practice is in the 1990s, there was a car manufacturer in Asia, in Japan, I won't mention the name, who actually had a program where they invited artists to come up with, or 1980s, sorry, to come up with all kinds of solutions for their most challenging problems. One of the problems was that they couldn't find ways to convince people in cars to wear their seatbelts once they forgot them. They were not used to do it. They had seatbelts, but they didn't use them. The solution came from a sound artist who actually developed a sound that was so annoying and so intriguing that whenever you hear it, you automatically think something is wrong, I need to do something. It's a sound that we still have today in our cars. It's a sound that you do not get accustomed to, but does provoke action and doesn't make you lose your attention on the road. That's actually an art industry collaborative project that led to the sound that is now used everywhere. On the other note, something that we're using more and more in industry, or have been using for quite a lot, is a QR code. A way of identification or signaling or transportation. The QR code is actually based on an artistic invention where an artist called Peter Struiken in the 1960s already developed a way to create an algorithm, to create a piece of software that would enable the software itself to automatically generate decisions whether a pixel on a given screen would be black or white, black or white. In the 1960s, factories were organized not around lean manufacturing and Kanban manufacturing, so nobody saw the purpose of it. But in the 1990s, that all changed. And it turned out to be not only in manufacturing, but now also in other parts of our daily lives, a super interesting invention. Better Factory is an enabler of what could become these kind of stories. So what Better Factory does is take part of the responsibility, and it's very good that the European Commission puts its money behind it, parts of the responsibility to allow artists and manufacturers to jointly experiment and come up with ideas. Knowingly beforehand that not all of those ideas will work out. Not all of the experiments will lead to new products or new solutions, but some of them will, with potentially very far-reaching impacts. InfoArt is an art-driven innovation company, and we try to do two things. We try to be part of the networks like Better Factory to help create space for experimentation, convince companies and players all through Europe that this is important and this is worth spending time and money on. And on the other hand, we're trying to do it ourselves. We believe in the idea of practice what you preach, and that's why we are collaborating with artists ourselves to develop experiments, prototypes, and ultimately new products and services.